Hey everybody, welcome back to Survival Heights, my amplified hardcore single player survival series. And as you can see by the scenery around me, we've done a few things since the previous episode. The main thing I've done, at least in the starter base area, is I've added a little bit of wheat around here, some crops. If you sort of zoom over this way or turn around this way, you can see those crops are all grown up there. You can see the crops directly behind me past the cow pen as well. Lots of crops around here, and I think it adds a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor, if you will, to the starter base area that I honestly think it's really needed. But folks, this isn't the only thing I've done since the previous episode. We've also been working on the Enderman farm. As you know, at the end of last episode, I ended off with just a basic Enderman farm. There wasn't really any sort of decorations around it, so I've gone ahead and done a lot of decorations around the Enderman farm, create a little enchantment table area around there, as well as enclose ourselves such that the Endermen are not going to come after me. So I used a replay mod for that. We'll have a little bit of time lapse going for that, and hopefully you all enjoy. So without further ado, let's get on into this episode and get on into the Enderman farm decoration making. So this is what I came up with for the box and different things in which we're going to stand in around the Enderman farm. You'll notice a little bit later as we get into this, the interior actually winds around a little bit to the side where the chest is, where we can get our items out of due to the item sorter with the Enderman farm. And the theme of this, as you'll also see, is based around the warped forest from the Nether where the Enderman actually spawn. So you'll see a lot of the stems, the strip stems, some of the planks, stairs. You'll see the cyan carpet on top as well to sort of reflect exactly the color scheme that I'm going to go with here. And you'll see some of the lighting things that come with the different plants as well. I thought it'd be pretty cool to sort of stick with this color scheme. I've never actually used these blocks before, so I thought for an Enderman farm it made a lot of sense, and I thought it'd be really cool to actually just stick to these and kind of go with it. But let me know what you all think of this down in the comment section below. I think this is a pretty cool design. I thought about using some endstone bricks and things like that, but like I said, this is the first time I've used some of this stuff, so I think it's going to look pretty cool. And once we add the tunnel to this, which I'll actually show you all right after this actually, that is actually complete, and I think it matches the theme of this pretty well as well. And you'll see a little bit later that I have some water that also matches the blue cyan theme that is this Enderman farm. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed. Like I said, leave me some comments down below as to what you all think of this design. But without further ado, I think we're good to go. Let's get back into it, and I'll show you all the tunnel, of which I now have finished. And as I previously mentioned, here is the completed tunnel to the Enderman farm. As you can see by the design, we have the ice sort of pathway below with the alternating blue ice and packed ice for a little bit of speed. We have the red buttons on top, which I really don't think I need, but they are made out of crimson, the crimson stem or whatnot, and I think it's actually a pretty cool little design color scheme thing there. Got all kinds of stairs on the sides. We've got some beams of the regular warp stems as well as the stripped warp stems, and we also have some of the crimson fences going along the side with the water coming down as well. Honestly, I think is a pretty cool little effect. You kind of go through the tunnel and you see the water on either side. So hopefully you all enjoy, hopefully you all like this tunnel design. Let me know down in the comment section below what you actually think of it. And of course we have torches on the sides, which I honestly might replace with torches or lamps at some point, or lanterns or whatnot, but we'll see. I may not. We'll see what I do with that. One thing we do need to do around here, which we won't do today, is actually this middle platform area right here where you originally spawned into the end. I want to do something with this, but I don't know yet what I want to do, so I'll have to think a little bit more about that. But in terms of the end itself, I think we are actually complete with this for today. I have a different project in mind for the latter portion of this episode. So let's actually head on back over to the overworld, back to the starter base area, and I'll show you all what I actually have in mind for today. So something that I made the framework of and mentioned a little while ago, probably towards the beginning of the series, is a really important item of this world that I said I would decorate, but really never got around to. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nether portal. We haven't done any decorations for it. It's kind of been sitting there at its max size. I mean, it's a pretty hefty size and got this very sketchy pathway right here, and there really isn't much going on over here. So I think I want to spend a good portion of today working on this portal here. We might end up doing some additional time lapses and stuff just to show off some progress for this and get some sort of design going, because I've built large nether portals in the past, as many of you I at this point already know of if you see my Fyrs Frontier series, which if you haven't, I highly recommend. It's a beautiful world, beautiful amplified world, not hardcore, but still a very nice world nonetheless. And I think decorating that today should be one of our main goals. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get some materials. I'm going to go ahead and figure out exactly what I want to do with this. There may or may not be a time lapse after this. We'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, let me get some materials together and, well, I guess we'll get started. Second time lapse of the day, and this one, ladies and gentlemen, is a doozy. We're finally filling in that section above the Nether portal in order to actually get started with decorating this Nether portal. I didn't realize actually how much work it was going to be just to set up a lot of the decorations, because I honestly thought I could just add some sort of stone and dirt and grass and coarse dirt and whatnot around it, and it would be all set to go for any other details that we wanted to add to it. But there's this huge gaping hole at the very top, and that really needs to get filled in first, so we can have some sort of cliffside coming down to sort of protect that side of the portal, because from the front side the portal looks just fine and where I put it makes sense, but from the back side not so much. And we kind of want it to look good on both sides. The reason I chose this portal to be right here, by the way, for those who do not know, when I go through the hole that's on top of our starter base area, whenever I fly through there, I want to be able to fly almost directly into the portal, and all I have to do is a quick left turn and the portal's right there. So that's why this portal is where it is and why we need a dock that comes out to it, some sort of bridge or something leading to it. So hopefully I'll show you guys today, as long as we get it done, a lot of that stuff that will hopefully lead up to it. But I'm starting off filling all this up with stone, and then I'll come back a little bit later and texture it a little bit. This time lapse is actually going to go on for quite a bit. I've recorded all of the time lapse footage by the time I'm actually going back for this post commentary, and there's a lot more here. This took a lot more time to do than I thought, and also really didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, because of the way that I do these things, because of the way I filled in the top, and because of some of the texturing I'll be doing a little bit later. It's very off and on. And one thing I've really noticed, for those who don't do a lot of texturing, it's sort of a give and go process, where you sort of have to test a block here, test a block there, or add a stone here, add a stone there, because honestly, whenever you first do any sort of texturing or start filling in the things, it's not going to turn out really the way you want it to, unless you've pre-planned it, and even then in your pre-planning, it's not going to turn out the way you want it to, so you sort of have to mess with it. So this stuff is kind of all over the place, and one of the biggest tips I always give people for building, I get asked questions all the time about what is your biggest tip for building, right? What is the number one thing to improve upon? What is the number one thing that you take into a build to really improve it? The number one thing I go into it thinking is, okay, even if this doesn't turn out the way I want it to, there's one of two options I can do. I can either tear it all down, or I can start adding blocks in different places and shape it to where I want it to be. Be prepared anytime you do any build, whether it's a portal like this or any sort of build. Be prepared to either one, take it down, or two, continue to add modifications, continue to add details until both I guess add things and take things away until you get the shape, until you get the build that you actually want. And do not ever be afraid of tearing stuff down and rebuilding it, or adding blocks here or there, because that's part of the process. That's kind of the number one thing you really need to keep in mind, is nothing you build off the start is going to be perfect. Everything I'm building here, I have to go back and add blocks to it as I go along. I have to go back, add textures. Nothing I do the first time around is perfect or the way I want it to be. And not even just perfect, a lot of times it's not even where I want it to be. But building is a slow process. Building is something you really have to get used to. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort in order to get better at. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give, at least for building, is simply to keep going at it and, look back at builds. It doesn't need to be perfect, but know that you're not going to be doing it, as well as you want to the first time. You're going to need to keep going back to the build as you are building it and add details, small details here, small details there, fix a small edge piece there, fix a corner there, along those lines, because you're never going to get it perfect the first time around. And in line with that, this also isn't the first time I built a portal of this size before and tried to decorate around it. I have I believe 4 of these portals in my old world, or one of my old worlds known as Fyr's Frontier, which many of you have probably already seen already. But I built similar portals to this. I built portals in a jungle oak area, I built one in a desert area, I built one in a swamp, and I built one that was the nether portal that goes to the end portal. So even though I still have a little bit of experience with this, I'm still going back and adding new materials, new blocks, different textures, and still need to go back and recheck my work because it is a process. Building will always be and has always been a process. So don't be afraid to go back and do that. And honestly, that doesn't just apply to building, that applies to content as well. Content is an ever-growing process. No matter how many times you create a piece of content, no matter how many times you've created Minecraft Let's Plays or tutorials or build showcases or redstone tutorials or whatever it might be, it's always a continuous learning process. And even just because you've done something before does not mean, 1, that you're good at it, or 2, that you're not going to need to go back and redo things. So always keep that in mind, that it's not just building, it's honestly not just content. There's a lot of things in life that are like that, where you need to go back, continuously edit your work to make sure that you're doing the best possible thing that you possibly can for that process. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this portal. Oh boy, do I have some things to show you all. Lots of progress has been done even since the time lapse. Hopefully you all enjoyed that and enjoyed the commentary on there. We should probably start down here. First off, you can see some of the course art on the sides here of the pathway. I really like this pathway. I have some of these slabs here. I think it looks pretty good. But down here, I don't think I've shown this yet. We have a little altar to Steve. Home of the Amazing Sea, praise Steve. People from the stream already know who this is. This is our resident cow, the first named cow here in the world. And so Steve has his own little bunker here with some hay bales and some water, which I think is pretty cool. So feel free to say hi to Steve whenever you all see him, and say hi down in the comment section below. But as we head through the starter tunnel, you'll see to the left here, I think I might have mentioned this before, we've got our 2021 resolutions board. If you guys have not seen my video on this, highly recommend checking it out. I posted on the 1st of the year. These are some of our goals for the year, but you can definitely go ahead and check that out as a separate video, I guess. We've also textured some of the sides here, added some stairs, or mainly just slabs, not really stairs here, but added some textures, cobblestone and andesite, which I think is pretty cool. Move this over to here. And we also have this pathway coming this way to this tunnel. Now, originally, I wasn't really sure what to do with this tunnel, but as you can see, I basically made it almost as if some leaves and some stones are coming through the roof here. And this is our way to get up above here to the very top up here, which actually is going to be a path that leads to our nether portal. So there's a little dock right here where you can sort of land your elytra, or I guess my elytra, since I'm the only one here. I can sort of land here, and it's a nice little landing platform to get into the starter base area. So if we head up through here, you will see really not much of a building here. We're gonna get this finished at some point. I just made a very makeshift building right here. But if we hop down here, you'll see a small pathway here. No more cobblestone, except for down there. I'm not really sure what to do with the supports for this yet. But that's right, you will see a pretty much finished portal that in many ways resembles the mine shaft that we've already built here in this world. This had a lot of blackstone added to it, some gilded blackstone, some of the crying obsidian, as you probably already saw, some textures, different andesite and cobblestone and whatnot. And a lot of these were suggestions that I got along the way. So thank you to all of you who did suggest these things, and of course and whatnot as well. But I think it looks pretty dang cool. I think this side, I'm not a huge fan of the other side. If we sort of wrap around, I know this may be a huge shock to some of you to see all this already done, but quite a bit of work has gone into this since the last little time lapse. A few weeks actually have, I think, probably passed since the last time, or since this episode has technically started. These episodes take quite a while, usually somewhere between 12 and 20 hours to make. So there's a lot of work that's gone into this, but I like the shape of this here. It's more of like a vertical oval. I built these sort of things before, and I like how the blackstone sort of emulates this shape around here. What I don't really like, and I don't really know if I'm going to change too much of it. If we go this way, you'll see on the back side here, it's a cool portal, but it's more circular rather than oval. So I'm not entirely sure if I quite like that, but I do think for a first big portal in this world, this is about what I expected. It's about what I expected it to be. It's about the amount of time that I expected. We need to do a lot more texturing around here. This whole area here needs to be textured, maybe even some of it filled in. We need to add in some more stairs and slabs around here, which I haven't really done. We have a few mushrooms around here as well. The leaves are something that I have not mentioned, but the leaves I think are a pretty cool feature. And the vines, once the vines start growing, I think that they'll look pretty cool. I didn't want to put too many vines, and I definitely didn't want to have too many hanging down from here. Oh, there's also lanterns here. I forgot to mention lanterns, and then the blackstone walls there as well. But once the vines get going, I think it'll look pretty cool. We just don't want too many vines. We don't want to be like the mine shaft and have all these vines down the middle, because then it starts to overtake things, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I think a little bit of vinage looks good, and a little bit of leaves. Leaves, as many of you know, pretty much make everything look better. So especially in a natural build like this, it matches the mine shaft, and I think it's a pretty cool build. We need to work on the supports here, but honestly, with some of the texturing around there, with some of the texturing up here, I need to continue the texturing all the way through here probably as well. I wouldn't mind texturing this entire mountain, since the base is probably going to go in here, which if you don't know is probably going to be our next project at some point. But that's something for down the road that we'll do in a later episode. Anyways, folks, this episode took quite a while to make, so I think we're gonna go ahead and end things off here for today. Hopefully you all enjoy the progress that we've made so far. I'm glad we can finally say that Nether portal has been decorated. It's got some good things going for it. Let me know down in the comment section below if you have any additional sort of remedies, not really remedies, but additional things you want me to add to the portal, because I'm always open to those suggestions. Whether or not I implement them will depend upon if I like the suggestion, but as always, feel free to leave some suggestions for that down in the comment section below. Like I said, folks, thanks so much for watching today's episode of Survival Heights. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to smash that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new and or not already subscribed. Anyways, guys, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.